395 episodes?
92.
92.
392.
We'll never know what we're doing.
No,
That's how we like it. That's just how we like it.
Hopefully YouTube's working. Welcome to Beerfield. I am your host at Beerfield Hop with 2 P's, Chris Hopper, as always, joined by at Beerfield Theory and at Ryan Miner _FFB. Dan Theory, Ryan Miner. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
So I didn't do a crafty punchline, and I got the whole intro right. So I think that might be the trick to not screwing up Twitter handle or something.
You know, I am very proud of you. It's great because this is my Friday. We're going tubing this weekend with a bunch of us. There's like 20 of us going to some place in Missouri.
Oh.
And
Current River?
I don't know what it's. I have no clue. It's the place my wife always goes with her friends. I don't remember what it's called. All I know is I haven't gone tubing in like 15 years. And it's going to be fun.
If you're uncultured, tubing's where you float down a river in an inner tube drinking cheap beer. Or distill, whichever. Or seltzers.
No, I'm only bringing seltzers. I'll bring some distill, but that's for the non-river.
Fair enough. I'm running a 13. Well, running the event staff for, not running the whole event. Poor Drew has been busting his ass to put up an event. We got one of our 4 major events going on Saturday at Bourbon and Brews. So 1,300 people, 12 food trucks, 300 plus labels of whiskey. A lot of beer. We're doing stuff. So that'll be pretty fun. And hot, although only 90, thankfully.
It's still hot. It's too hot.
Oh my god, yeah, it is.
Too hot. We are presented by the FF Faceoff. FFFaceoff.com. Make sure you go check out all of the wonderful work that the writers are doing, all of the articles. Check out Anthony Servino and their podcast and Mental Health Podathon. July 16th and 17th. So quite the list of people building up for that. So sure check out everything that they're doing and everything that we're doing, which today is more from around the league. It's still hype season. It's OTA season. So we're going to continue our off-season efforts and breaking that down and trying to pick through it. What do we believe? What do we not believe? What's going to be true? What's not going to be true? Because we know better than the beat writers.
Yeah. Fuck them.
And then we're going to get into the phenomenon that is the Scott Fish Bowl a little bit. We got a first-timer here with us. So a little bit about, what it is, how to enter, what's the scoring, and what strategies do you use as you go into it, and, how it differs from make it maybe a regular draft. So we'll spend some time on that. As always, though, before we get going, we do have beer. I almost brought on PBR and then thought better of it. So I like PBR.
Fuck.
What?
Who the fuck are you? Ryan? Do you have 2 Ryans on here now?
Dude, I said I didn't. I just had some PBR left, and I'm like, PBR sounds good. I had a brew day on Saturday. I made a wheat ale, and I was drinking PBR. I had an urge in Casey's at 9 a.m., so I bought a 6-liter PBR. It's good beer.
That's why. It's something.
What's fueling Beerfield?
Ryan, we'll start with you. We've got a disproportionate word count going on right now.
I am drinking Founders Unraveled IPA. It's a juicy India pale ale. So I've already been 3 beers in because I just did a podcast right before this.
Even better.
We'll see how this is. Yeah, right? So I'm feeling kind of loose.
Drunk Ryan? I don't think we've seen Drunk Ryan before. This would be...
You won't see Drunk Ryan. It's just loose Ryan.
We need to get Drunk Me back on a show.
That was fun.
Depends what levels of drunk we get. Or how much bourbon we're pouring.
There's only 2. Perfectly normal. And
Yeah,
holy
it's
hell,
only
he's
two.
gone.
Only Ellie's God's been around once. 391 episodes of normal.
Takes a while
Hopper.
to get there. Usually doesn't show up
it
until
does.
2 a.m. But when do we get there? What do you got,
Or,
Dan?
you know, I'm drinking. I'm drinking some Evil Horse. These guys are out of Crete, Illinois, which is near the Indiana border, just super south of Chicago. Apparently, I was doing a tasting, and me and these guys were sharing a table because there's a lot of different breweries there. So got to talk with the brewmaster and his wife for about 3 hours, and I'm drinking their Lug Wrench lager. This is an American toasted lager. Not toasted, but it comes off very toasted. Yeah, got to keep the theme of the basics on.
I don't think I put this one on yet. I picked it up when I was in Louisville a couple weeks ago. This is Sweet Baby Swirl from Duclaw Brewing Company out of Baltimore, Maryland. It is a chocolate peanut butter white stout. So it's a stout with vanilla, lactose, coffee, other natural flavors. White stouts are one of my favorite beer styles. So
And I love white stouts.
I do love white stouts. That's why I have a white stout on.
It does look like a white stout.
Very gold. And YouTube, Beerfield Fantasy Podcast, by the way. At Beerfield
great.
on Twitter.
Great radio.
Yeah, wherever you get your stuff.
Just here's my goddamn
Great radio. Because we're doing radio right now. Like, there's not a video component to this at all, huh?
You know, you have faces for radio, but
Of course, I had to go back and
we
make sure
choose to
there
put it
actually
off.
was a video component to this. There is.
Again, we're really good at this.
I've only been doing this like 5 weeks now, so I'm good.
News.
And we know how you know you've only been doing this for 5 weeks. Dan knew to pause because there was a drop coming, and you just, as soon as I hit it, started talking again.
It was fucking perfect. It's like witnessing ourselves, from the past.
All right. We're going to run through this. Some of this is news. Some of this is Coach Speak. We'll pick through what we need to, assess what we need to. Starting off, Alvin Kamara bracing for a suspension of at least 6 games following some punches thrown in a Vegas nightclub. So we kind of knew that something might come out of this. 6 games, I think, is probably heavier than I was anticipating given the NFL's track record.
I wonder if it says he's bracing, which means I'm assuming he'll appeal. Does he? He doesn't have a track record though, does he? This is his first offense.
I thought he's been suspended once before.
I don't remember. If he hasn't, I can see him getting this suspension reduced, but he also may accept it, be out for 6 games or more. And we've seen that happen before with the likes of Kareem Hunt, but Kareem Hunt also had a pass, prior to that. So I guess we'll see.
I think as the video come out, as we want to start to wonder now.
I'm not going to be lying. Like, this has been, I barely think about this. Like it was news when it came out, and then it just kind of just went away until you hear little rumblings of people saying, watch out for Kamara. He's probably going to get suspended. And then now we get that he's bracing for 6 games.
I'm wrong. He had some college stuff, but he didn't have anything at the NFL level.
I wouldn't be surprised if this gets reduced to like 2 or 3. It just depends. I guess it depends how many games he actually gets.
Well, and then you go from there, right? And what do you do? Because the Saints don't have much of a passing game either, so they're going to use the running game. Mark Ingram right now is his backup, who is not, he's not the same Mark Ingram he was during his first stint in New Orleans. And then you have Dwayne Washington, who hasn't been a thing for, years. And Tony Jones, who people thought was going to be a thing, and then he wasn't. So if he is suspended 6 games, I would be surprised if the Saints don't add a little bit to this, but it's going to be a hot hand approach, and I don't really know who the hot hand's going to be. I'd imagine Ingram gets the first crack at it, but I'm not sure how much he's got left.
Well, plus, you got to look at it, too. Who's going to get traded to New Orleans right now also? There could be rumors that someone from, Las Vegas, like Kenyon Drake, could go there even.
Mm-hmm.
Depends who's available, too. You got some free. I'm trying to remember what free agents are out there. they don't have to worry about addressing this second. They could wait till some August cuts to see who gets dropped. You know, you're going to see some surprises. As Hopper mentioned, there's no way Mark Ingram, they're just going to give him this massive workload. Depends, like, I guess, where Michael Thomas is in his during his recovery. You're just going to probably see a lot more passing. And
so
just this offense is like, I already don't like this offense, and it just makes it worse if he's not there.
So there's one name that jumps out as here's who's available right now. Tariq Cohen, who just hurt himself on a live stream. David Johnson, who visited and left without a contract. Jalen Richard, who's not much. Devonta Booker, who actually looked decent in pinch hit duty for the Giants last year. Carlos Hyde, who didn't look great. Malcolm Brown, who's not done much since he left the Rams. Latavius Murray, who the Saints cut. Devonta Freeman, who looked good in some limited duty last year with Baltimore. So I'd imagine that if they do go out and grab somebody based on who's here, that Devonta Freeman and Devontae Booker, both wrong side of 30, but guys that had some success last year that can be had for cheap in pinch hit duty, might end up on this roster. Some other names that are available, Kalen Ballage is out there because for some reason he won't die. Peyton Barber, Alex Collins, Corey Clement, who's had some NFL success. Wayne Gallman, who's had some NFL success. Jeremy McNichols was just cut, who's shown some flashes. So, but your biggest names, and Justin Jackson, who's actually looked really good every shot he's been given, is still a free agent. And that would be hella intriguing, given the type of player he is.
I can totally see Devonta Freeman just given a track record.
I can
in the
too.
History. The NFL loves to go after veterans who were, productive 3-4 years ago, or at least in their heyday, and sign them and act like they're the same fucking player. This is a good offensive line, at least a decent, above average offensive line, and they should be able to complement Mark Henry well. And Freeman can kind of do it all too. So
you say Mark Henry? Did he just say
what?
Mark Henry again?
No, I said. I totally maybe said.
I think he said Mark Henry again.
Well, if he keeps eating, maybe he'll become Mark Henry.
But
anyways,
baby.
yes. And then I also like Booker in that. I like, as much as I want to see Justin Jackson there, I just don't.
Yeah,
I think the Saints are going to go the way of a veteran with history.
And I think if this comes down right, I mean, Ingram, like I said, he's going to get the first shot at it, or at least get to split it with somebody. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's another veteran. So wait for this to come down. I don't think the answer's on the roster if you're drafting today. So don't get overexcited about Dwayne Washington or Tony Jones or whatever if that's happening right now, because I don't think the answer, the full piece of this picture, puzzle piece of this picture.
You don't look at Abram Smith as anything right now?
I just pulled up. I've been drafting him because he's pretty much been free, or just picking up.
I don't.
Selection him. Well,
I think
I don't know what to tell you.
I think that the Saints putting. Look, I mean, there's going to be guys in the mix, right? But I don't think that they look at Abram Smith and be like, "Yep, college free agent. We've got Alvin Kamara covered."
Yeah, you don't.
I hope not.
You're
I
not
hope
looking
not.
at what's there now, like you said. You're not looking at their what's now as the week one starter. Someone else is going to be the week one starter.
It's going to be a hot hand approach. I just think that they're going to add more opportunities to have the hot hand.
Yeah.
Mark Ingram would be the week one starter. The question is, who else is going to rotate in with him to try to get that hot hand approach? Because it won't be just him. Dan Snyder conducted a shadow investigation in an attempt to discredit his accusers. So more shit on Dan Snyder.
I wish he just fucking
Go away.
I wish the owners just vote him the fuck out. Like, for God's sakes, the guy is a human piece of garbage. Like, can we just get him the fuck out of here?
Yeah.
Ship him off to an island where he can't fucking do anything besides molest himself.
Jerk off island.
Yeah, just him. And we'll put Watson over there. And they can just give themselves each other. They can just give each other massages.
Nightly circle jerks.
They can play Limp Bizkit over there.
Hey, speaking of circle jerks, Robert Woods should be the Titans' #1 option to open the season if he's healthy. But there's another report that projects, let's see, that Traylon Burks is going to be the 3. Austin Hooper is one of Tannehill's favorite targets. So it sounds like right now, as things come out in camp and they assess where players are and who's going to open on the pup, who's not going to open on the pup, the Titans are leaning towards, it wasn't just one report, that Robert Woods actually will be healthy to start the season.
It's impressive.
So,
and fully expect his ADP to fly up. He's not going to be this cheap come in redraft season.
Well, yeah, and as you break it down, like they see Nick Westbrook-Ikhine as a 2, who he had some moments last year but was never super consistent. Traylon Burks has been set back by some of the difficulties he's had with asthma, not being able to participate in OTAs, not being able to learn the offense. He'll have a role and probably come on as the season goes. But Robert Woods might be the safest bet there. But also, Austin Hooper had a breakout season in Atlanta, went to the dysfunctional offense that is the Browns that didn't work for any receiver. Now he lands in another offense that, historically has actually been pretty good to tight ends. Any chance for an Austin Hooper bounce back?
I can see it. Absolutely. I mean, Jonnu Smith had a good season there before he went to New England. So how can Austin Hooper, to perform as a high-end tight end 2, even a low-end tight end 1 week, I don't see that out of the picture at all.
And I guess it's what Tannehill has done in the future. We also got to remember this is going to be a run-first offense. You lose your first-round pick. Your replacement of A.J. Brown, you still have, ahead of schedule, Robert Woods, who's still coming off of a major injury and coming back early. So I wouldn't be surprised because he's not fucking Cooper Kupp that if he gets off to a slow start. And then Nick Westbrook is just a fucking guy. Like, I'm not saying this is a Justin Jefferson situation, which has been plastered all over Twitter when that got announced. It's this offense is going to lean even heavier, I think, into the running game. And if they get up, or if they can always keep within, it's like, sure. Like, go out and draft Austin Hooper. He's going to be double-digit round tight end anyways. Who fucking cares? Like, take that shot. Hopefully it works and it hits for you guys. I really don't care either way about Austin Hooper. I really don't care about this passing offense too much, but someone's got to catch passes, and if Woods does get off to a slow start because he's coming back early from his injury, then maybe Hooper is the one that's the most beneficial from it.
Well, I'd also keep an eye on Kyle Phillips, too, as a pass catcher.
That's right, yeah.
Hell of a slot receiver there.
Slight white slot receiver.
Yeah.
The thing is that there's not going to be enough to go around and make everybody productive in this offense. They threw 530 times last year. There's not going to be enough target volume for that. The tight end is an interesting position to target because to be a solid tight end, you don't need a ton of targets to slide up into that tight end 5 to 8 range, and it's a guy that did produce previously. And really, going back and looking at some of Smith's early seasons, I mean, he had Charles Clay at 84 targets and Jordan Cameron at 70. And even though they didn't produce at a high level, if you look at that volume when he's had, tight ends getting, 70 to 80 targets, then that plays, especially in the double-digit rounds.
Yeah, and as long as he doesn't go up too much, which I don't expect him to. I think most people are not going to jump on the Tennessee offense, especially in the passing offense. But I think Hooper is very much a fine option in double-digit rounds as a stream-worthy tight end, especially one for premium if you play in those leagues.
Right. All right. Let's see. Chris Godwin expected to open the season on the pup. Rob Gronkowski retired again, and that leaves Russell Gage as number 2 to start the season. Without a lot of competition for target volume, is Russell Gage going to be a thing in the first part of this year? Is that somebody that if the capital doesn't go through the roof, you grab as a trade piece and draft at value? The Athletics thinking he'll surpass his career high of 4 touchdowns, and I think there's a pretty good possibility that might happen by week 6. So, and even when Godwin does come back, it's not like third wide receivers haven't had serviceable weeks as and aren't rosterable pieces here. So
I absolutely love
I'm
Russell
for
Gage.
it. Yeah.
It's his. I mean, this without Gronk, without a real third passing option, even just as you said, Opry, even with Godwin when he comes back, Gage is still going to be a part of this offense. And we've seen throughout the last year and a half with the healthy Evans, Godwin, and Brown and Gronk, all those guys were at some point productive during those weeks. So Gage should always be a flex option at worst. And then during Godwin's time, he could be a mid to high end wide receiver too, based on those projected volume. I mean, it's Tom Brady in this offense. They're going to throw the ball a shit ton.
Yeah. 24th in target separation in the league was not bad. Not much of a contested catch guy, but, did some things after the catch as well. So, it's nothing flashy, nothing that's going to dominate, but in high volume, it's going to be a nice piece,
Mm-hmm.
So we can get behind that. And that leads into another question. So I think it's worth talking about too, because as I've looked at ADPs and where people are going, there's a lot of things that aren't attractive. And part of that is because you got a lot of people that are coming off of injuries that are eligible that may not start the season healthy. Former top guys like Michael Thomas off the ankle injury, Chris Godwin coming off the knee injury, Michael Gallup coming off the knee injury, Robert Woods is a possibility, Odell Beckham not going to be back till mid-season with his late season injury. I mean, that list is something that just kind of goes on, and is not void of names. So how do you value guys like, and it's going to be different so kind of generally speaking, like you're not going to value Gallup the same as Godwin, but Gallup has value. So, how do you value these guys that are maybe draft and stash on IR for the first few weeks of the season for the long-term run, like getting a superstar in a trade mid-year? How far do you discount them before you're willing to jump at a guy that might miss the first 6 weeks?
Like if I'm drafting right now, it's like I'm almost kind of pushing him down my draft board because it's like I don't really want him unless I'm getting him as my 5th or 6th type of wide receiver value. If I got 3 or 4 good ones, I'm more comfortable having them as a 5-6, knowing that they're going to be out that many weeks. And trying to take them that early, like if they're going like 5th, 6th round, I feel like almost reaching too much for them.
And it's really going to depend on the player. As Ryan said, like I don't think there's a player that we talked about that should go before round 5, round 6 anyways. I mean, Godwin's probably the closest to it. If we had a more comfortable timetable on Thomas, which I think as the offseason goes around, we may be able to get more information on that and then have a better idea, especially if he's supposed to come back during Kamara's, suspension too. You can also throw Kamara into this mix. He's not hurt, but he's slated to miss potentially at least 6 games. Which is pretty much half of your fantasy season. So a guy like him will probably go the earliest, but I mean, this is the risk we take. You can take them now and then try to stack backfields because most of the leagues that you're drafting in, yes, you probably have to draft a kicker and a defense for those casual leagues, but you don't have to have them right away.
Yeah.
So if you're drafting later, this is why you don't need to take them now. Hold on to backups and wait and see how things play out.
Mm-hmm.
So here's kind of where those guys I mentioned are going. Chris Godwin right now, this is FF Calc as normal. So still draft numbers are up a little bit, but still not in the heart of this yet. Chris Godwin right now is going at the 408, behind DeAndre Hopkins, who's suspended, ahead of Terry McLaurin, who's in a contract dispute, behind Michael Thomas with the ankle injury, ahead of Amari Cooper, who's in the hellscape that is Cleveland.
The Browns purgatory.
Yeah, with an uncertain QB situation. So, I mean, it's like there's clearly a spot right now where guys that have uncertain situations are kind of being valued before you get to like Michael Pittman, DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, or right behind guys like Deontay Johnson and Jalen Waddle. Then, let's see, further down, I think the next one I saw was Robert Woods, who's going behind Adam Thielen, Mike Williams, ahead of Hunter Renfrow and Jerry Jeudy.
What running backs are going in that area?
Miles Sanders, A.J. Dillon, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon.
I would.
Tight end.
I mean, that's you
That
can just
sounds
pivot
better.
to another position.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
this is where
And around
knowing these things and knowing where these guys are going,
Mhm.
we can kind of create a positional value where you don't have to worry about trying to draft
Yep.
a guy who's supposed to miss the first 6 weeks of the year.
And around Godwin, it's Jacobs, Edwards-Helaire, Fournette, Damian Harris, James Conner, Travis Etienne, Cam Akers.
Yeah, I really have those than any of the wide receivers there now.
Yep, for sure. And then Gallup is going further down. I don't even see him at the moment.
That's surprising that he's going. I figured he'd
He's
go
going
around what's his
behind.
range.
So he's at 10:07. He's going behind
That's fine.
Devontae Parker, Rashad Bateman, Kadarius Toney, ahead of Russell Gage, Kenny Galladay, Christian Kirk.
Okay. God, the Christian Kirk, man.
The Christian Kirk hate.
The hate, man.
Hate.
Oh, that's so fucking. That's
It's gonna make him such a value.
I mean, come on.
Right?
Oh, I don't want a guy that just set the market for a wide receiver on offense that's going to be top 10 in pass attempts. Ah, fuck that. I don't want that.
I don't want the wide receiver one from the Jaguars. No, thank you.
I'll take him in the 10th round.
I'll
Yeah,
take him in like
absolutely.
this.
Yeah.
I'll take him in like this 7th or 8th
Garbage
round.
time. I mean, yeah, right. If he's
round,
going the 10th
probably.
round, I'll take him the 8th round.
There's so much volume. There's so much potential. But anyways,
Right.
I mean, that's still a good spot for Gallup too.
Yeah.
That's still a fine time to take these guys if you have your wide receiver room set. Obviously, if you're not, then you may want to pivot to someone that's going to give you production right away. But in the 10th
General
round, I don't
rules,
think
look at
you
how
should
you're
set.
building. If you've got 3 wide receivers that can go ahead of him, like if you're using a 0 RB strategy, then, maybe, you go a little earlier, but, you're going to lose 6 weeks of productivity. So you gotta plan that. Look at other positions. Look away from the wide receiver position when you get there. And if you are dead set on one of these guys, then, my general rule is I want to get them at, at least a 4-round discount, maybe even a 5-round discount of where they would normally go. And Godwin's only at a 2-round discount right now from where he would normally go. Maybe 3, but
You're buying too high, I feel like, right now at that value.
well, we'll see what happens as we get closer to. And, some people are probably using this for Dynasty, which is going to skew that upwards. And there's only, 100 or so drafts in the last week. So we'll see.
Scott Fishbowl will also be a really nice indication as the draft started. Me with the unique position, I'll have my teams drafted before most people start.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 cities that are doing their live drafts 2 weeks prior to the offline people doing theirs. So
Yep.
once we do mine, we'll go over it and we can talk about some of the points. I'll try to jot down some of the unique draft situations.
All right. Moving on then. The Athletics' Mark Caboli writes, George Pickens will produce some splash plays as a rookie, but not enough to blindly start every week.
Is there a point this year where you see George Pickens as a week-to-week start, or are you just looking at splash plays and matchups?
Flash plays and matchups.
I mean, that's
It's one of the
Oh,
more
God.
obvious statements of that's not an indictment on George Pickens. That's what your expectations should be for somebody that has a ton of talent, that played hurt a lot and has question marks coming in. And, as much as we think Trubisky's going to be fine, doesn't necessarily have a, what's going to be a extreme passing offense necessarily, and has a guy there that already commands targets in Deontay Johnson.
So, cool. Not a lot to discuss there then. This is a lot of things like that. Athletic is also reporting that Breece Hall is now the Batman to Michael Carter's Robin after OTAs. The Jets like what they see in Breece Hall, but right now the plan is to use both of them.
and I think everyone should have expected that.
Yeah, but okay, so everyone should expect that they're both going to be used, but how much? What are we expecting for the split here between Hall and Carter? Because Hall can receive, so I don't see him coming off the field on 3rd down always in favor of Michael Carter. Is it a change of pace type of role for Carter? Are we talking 70-30, 60-40, 80-20?
I think it starts off 60-40. I think there's a chance that we could see a lot of Breece Hall like towards the end of the season. and there's just that flat out commitment.
Yeah.
But it's not like they don't like Michael Carter.
Right.
And we have this much weaponry, around Zach Wilson. Like, I understand not wanting to take Brees Hall off the field, but Michael Carter still has a skill set that can be utilized, especially in that change of pace role, who might just see a lot more of that to start the year.
And in space and as a receiver. And it's not that Brees Hall isn't a receiver. It's just, unfortunately, what may end up happening is you could end up with people pounding the table for Brees Hall to be used more as a receiver just because of how good Michael Carter is in space. That may end up being his role.
It's going to be like Jonathan Taylor year one. It's just going to be a lot of people like, why the fuck are we seeing so much Michael Carter?
Yeah.
I see that.
Yep.
Even though I don't, he didn't have the greatest splits with Zach Wilson when he was playing, but this offense, like, we don't really know what the offense is going to fully look like with how much weaponry they've added and with Zach Wilson in year 2 and hopefully being healthy for the whole year.
Yeah, it's all just an assumption right now. We're hoping it's 60-40.
I mean, they pretty much overhauled the wide receiver room.
Yeah,
almost.
they did. They overhauled that whole offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to look a lot different than last year.
Terrace Marshall was a standout at OTAs. Stock is, quote, rising. Right now he projects as the Panthers' number 3 wide receiver behind DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson was contemplating retirement.
I love it. I hope he retires.
I think
just so we can get away from Sam Darnold.
Yeah. So I think with Terrace Marshall, the thing with him is that a lot of people expected a year 1 breakout and you didn't get it. And if you really believe in a guy like Terrace Marshall, you've got to give it a little bit beyond 1 year. I mean, what's up, dude? You got to give it beyond 1 year. This is a situation where Terrace Marshall's coming in, or not coming in. He's there already. It's the second year in the offense, but he's had a year to adapt. He wasn't this supreme producer coming out of college. He wasn't some, a lot of people like the talent, but understanding he's going to be raw. You got to give that time, and you're going to have some opportunities here over guys like Rashard Higgins, Shai Smith, Brandon Zylstra, who are behind that. So the opportunity is there, but do you take a shot on that opportunity?
I mean, he was historically bad last year. I mean, that's really where people come to when you start to look at is he worth taking a shot on? I mean, he's going to be free.
Yeah,
he's not going to be drafted in redraft leagues. He's almost already being dropped in dynasty leagues, especially with smaller rosters, where you don't have the luxury of being able to hold on to guys like him. He was just that bad, and he got replaced by Shai Smith at some point last year. I'm not saying that they're just going to give up on him. I think you really have to reset expectations. And I think if you're expecting anything from him, it's because of injury more so than him being a standout with a healthy DJ Moore, and if Robbie Anderson doesn't retire. And it's also the Panthers.
Yeah.
And you get, CMC back. I don't expect this to be a high, I don't expect this offense to move fast. I expect it to be a lot of 1 and a lot of 3 and outs. That's just, yeah.
The Terrace Marshall thing was we're all really high on him last year, and I look at him more this year as more as like a Hail Mary, like going into the off season, and now I kind of see him as like he's sort of moving up a little bit as like that dart throw. It's like, okay, he could produce, he couldn't produce based off this news. Let's see what happens.
Fair enough. Should be a first in, first out on your roster.
Yeah. I mean, 13 games and just 30 targets, 17 receptions is not necessarily what you want to see there, but
it was bad.
A lot of inconsistencies.
It was really bad.
It was bad.
I was super high on him last year too, and I was like, dang it.
A lot of us, I was in the same way. I mean, he was hyper athletic and he was big. It was just, his breakouts came before the other standout, freshman receiver. And then he goes out, and then the guy blows up, and we all just assumed the third weapon in that Joe Burrow offense was supposed to be
the next
this massive thing. And
yeah,
we got a little spoiled. You got Clyde, who hasn't been anything. You have Marshall. You have 2 guys a product of that historic offense being drafted probably higher than they should have been. Especially, I mean, obviously Clyde was, but you can probably include Marshall in there too now.
Are you ready for some more tight end analysis, Dan?
Oh, fuck. Let's go. Titans.
Brady Henderson at ESPN thinks whichever quarterback starts for Seattle will be more inclined to throw to tight ends than Russell Wilson was.
That's got it. Okay. Again, I want to throw to Noah Fant when I have DK. Like, I also would like to throw to Noah Fant, but
I mean, I would rather throw to Noah Fant than not. Well, and I also have DK Metcalf, but if my team's going to be behind, and I got to throw to more than just DK Metcalf.
Someone's got to catch the football.
People forget about Tyler Lockett, though.
Maybe
too.
what he's actually saying is that you're not going to see as many, deep shots. Wilson has one of the best deep balls in football, and regardless of who it is, either Locke or Smith, you're not getting that from Wilson. So maybe it was his roundabout way of saying don't expect as many deep shots, and you get a guy like Noah Fant who is a mismatch most times.
And here's my thing. This is really why this is on here, because I wanted to look into it. Like, Drew Lock didn't favor tight ends a ton.
He had Noah Fant.
He had Noah Fant. And, like, hey, there's 87 tight end targets from Geno Smith in 2013, split up. 2014, it was...
And Smith has rapport with both Metcalf and Lockett too, stemming from last year. So there's already that built-in chemistry.
53 to Jason Morrow. I mean,
that's a name.
It's not like even if they are more likely to throw to tight ends, it's still not like they're going to be peppering the tight end with volume that's immediately going to throw them into top 8 contention.
No, and there's very little touchdown upside to him.
Right.
I think Fant could have some big games. Could have, close to 100 yards, 5, 6, 7 receptions. It's just that offense is going to be so bad that the scored opportunity is going to be pretty low. And you already have a good, red zone DK.
Yeah, I don't see Fant producing this year. I see more of him as we're going to draft him, but he's going to be one of those that we're also going to drop fast within the first few weeks.
You're gonna be dropping him for Cameron Brate when he goes off week 1.
Right.
Yeah, I can't fucking wait. I can't wait for the 2 touchdown game from Brate. 2 catches, 12 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm calling it.
Write it down.
I love Cameron.
Calling
Brate.
it.
It's gonna happen.
Oh, it's slowly.
He's
done that.
I never gave up on him.
You did that once last year. You're the only one who never gave up on him. You're the only one.
I know.
Your guys just seem to hang around like fucking cockroaches.
Long enough to be relevant again. Tyrion Davis-Price is a good bet to emerge as one of the top 2 options in the San Francisco backfield, and this matters because the top 5 options in the San Francisco backfield are relevant at some point during the season.
Yeah.
He should be rostered. You should just roster as many San Francisco backs as what seems possible.
Right now, it's expected he's going to beat out Jermichael Hasty, Jeff Wilson, and Trey Sermon, and
I would hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I would hope so.
I'm with you. And Elijah Mitchell did end up banged up at points. He's should be the unquestioned starter, but Shanahan's never used just one guy, so.
And you also got to, factor in Trey Lance and his uses probably around the red zone. Like, I do not expect a whole lot of rushing touchdowns from these running backs, especially if Lance gets going right away. You get a guy his size and with his, mobility, it could be Cam Newton-esque in terms of what he does around the red zone. Same with Josh Allen was the same way too during his first year as a starter. So touchdown upside doesn't look particularly elite in that San Francisco backfield.
No,
I'm guessing.
Not unless Jimmy G is starting.
Oh my God!
If he's not traded or cut.
This is like the longest what if questions going on with him. It's like, come on, are you guys keeping him? Are you guys dropping him? Are you trading him? What's going on here?
And he's in a backup. I still think he's extremely valuable to the Niners as a backup to Lance.
Yeah,
I fully expect Lance to start this year, but Jimmy G is a very, very valuable backup.
Like if Lance fails, you have the ultimate backup right now, and
If he
Garoppolo
gets
ready to
hurt, if you said if he struggles, like he just brought him to the NFC Championship game. So
Looking at some of these Kyle Shanahan backs, I love taking trips down memory lane.
oh my God, there's got to be good ones on
Ryan Terrain, Roy Halou, Tim Hightower.
there. Roy Alou,
go. Oh my God, Roy Halou! I remember Roy Halou.
Washington. God, dude, his profile is insane, dude. He's so athletic. It's nuts.
Alfred Morris.
That was the RG3 correlate right there.
It
Like he
was.
made Alfred Morris so good.
Who else do we have?
Yeah, Devonta Freeman, right? He should be on there.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm still at Washington. I haven't made it to Atlanta yet.
Oh, haven't
But
made
yeah,
it? Okay.
Devonta Freeman,
Sorry.
Tevin Coleman,
I jumped the gun.
Steve Slayton, and somebody else.
Steve
Steve
Slayton,
Slayton, that's a name. Houston.
the one-year wonder that we all are super high on that next year, and took him in the first round just to watch him bust.
Yeah, it's where it all started for us.
Brevin Jordan expected to be the Texans' lead tight end. If anybody cares about that sort of thing,
Don't care about the Texans.
I think we expected him to be the lead tight end. Deshaun
hope
Watson
so.
settled 20 of the 24 lawsuits against him. The other 4 tied up in paperwork and expected to settle. I think after that's done is when the NFL makes their decision.
All right, well, so with Kamara looking at 6 games, should we still see Winston at the whole season?
Watson should be a full season.
He's gonna get 2. Just
I hope he could.
Just
I think
because
it'll
the
be like
NFL.
Ridley's. It's going to be just like Ridley's language. It'll be at least 1 year. I think it'll be in the same way. And then he'll try to apply for reinstatement next year, and we'll be at it again then.
NFL's gonna piss everybody off. Watson gets 4 games
Oh my God.
as they once again send a message.
They're
that we
gonna
care
Ray
more
Rice
about
this.
punching people in the face than anything.
They're going to Ray Rice this situation.
You gotta try to put asses in those seats, man.
Fuck
That's all they're
him.
trying to do in Cleveland. Yep.
Fuck him.
Laviska Shenault looking a lot faster than he did in 2021. Coach speak.
How would anyone know? Because they weren't even part of that coaching staff then.
There's one guy there, Ryan. He knows.
Film,
The
man.
janitor.
Film.
The film, brah.
Arif Hassan of the Athletic Blues, KJ Osborne could see a boost for increased passing volume in the Vikings offense, and this I'm actually on board with.
Fuck yeah, you should.
KJ Osborne, especially when Thielen was hurt, I mean, and even when he wasn't, he had some good weeks. And, you know, they used him a lot as a deep threat, but he had some weeks where he was up above 7 targets, and he was productive with those. He had some very nice games, and if that volume increases, you know, he is the third guy. And Irv Smith working his way back from injury. You know, Adam Thielen, a lot of people expect to be on a downturn. You know, Osborne's a nice guy to have around as a 4th or 5th receiver on your roster that absolutely could pop. He's shown the ability to. He's shown the ability to produce. And, you know, if the Vikings offense does swing to something more pass heavy, I'm on board with KJ Osborne.
Hello, Minnesota's version of Russell Gage. I mean, this is going to be one of the top passing offenses in football this year. They're going to throw more. They're going to be more inventive. They're going to modernize it. If they're this productive with the time fossil that was Mike Zimmer and his coaching staff, I believe it was Clint Kubiak was the OC last year. You're going to get, you take the Rams OC, you take a more modern version of what we're going to see from them. Osborne has a chance. Like, I don't know if he'll outproduce Thielen, but he's going to have very productive weeks. He needs to be rostered, and he's going to be a flex option in those really good matchups.
Okay.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
I don't know what to say. What do you want me to say?
Okay, start with this one then. We got to get your word count up.
God damn it.
More reports out of Houston. Dameon Pierce is getting plenty of opportunity to win the Texans' backfield, while a conflicting report says they'll lean heavily on Marlon Mack.
I think they'll lean on Marlon Mack until Marlon Mack can't be what they want him to be, and then they're going to put Dameon Pierce in. So Dameon Pierce could just start as easy within week 2 or week 3, depending on how Marlon Mack is, or also just turns into a committee of a 1-2.
Like Thomas Jones and Cedric Benson from back in the Bears Lovie Smith days?
There we go, yeah.
And don't besmirk Rex Burkhead. League-winning Rex Burkhead.
He's like 32-year-old running back now, isn't he?
They leaned on those fucking guys last
I
year.
think he's 32.
They
31,
leaned on.
sorry.
They leaned on those guys last year.
31, yeah. They did, but you get younger, you get a coach that does like to run the football.
I'm being facetious, but
Yeah.
I don't want any of them. I'll be honest. Like I don't want either. I don't want really anybody because
I want Dameon Pierce.
Especially if
this
I'm playing.
feels like Atlanta from last year, where it's just like we
I
don't
didn't
know
love Mike
who's going to
Davis.
be. We all love Mike Davis, and look what
I didn't
fucking
love Mike
happened.
Davis.
Yeah, but
No,
it's
you
a
guys-
different
you guys love Mike
situation.
Davis.
But it's a different situation,
I
though,
did, I
because
did.
Mike Davis is a known commodity. Damian Pierce isn't. And Marlon Mack was good before he hurt his Achilles.
It's still a really, really bad offense. That like they're going to factor in people left and right. It's going to
It's even more of a reason for me to want Marlon Mack because he'll catch passes.
Fine, we'll take the one that's going the latest. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
Rex
Dameon Pierce
Burkhead
catch
caught the
passes.
passes for them last year too.
Yeah.
Dameon Pierce
that
can
might
catch
be his
passes,
role.
too.
Then we'll want Rexy. No, just take the one who's going the latest.
Not gonna want Rexy this year.
I want Dameon Pierce.
I
want
would.
him at what count?
I want the one that gets dropped, and then we all
I-
pick up in week 10.
I lean
because the other
Damian
two are
Pierce
hurts.
because I think he's because it's the type of back that I think Lovie Smith likes, and he's gonna get a lot of work. And Marlon Mack, he kind of had that throwaway season last year, but to me that also means that Marlon Mack's gonna be cheaper, and I'd expect that if one of those two does get the passing work, it's gonna be Marlon Mack.
I would lean on Mac.
Yeah.
I like Pierce. Hopper knows I like Pierce.
I like
Ryan
Pierce,
listens
too.
to the
I don't-
show.
but-
we
I
like
like
Pierce.
Pierce.
Talking
Pierce has never been a full-time running back
Yeah.
ever.
talking
We can't-
redraft and
Yeah,
PPR.
like you can't just assume that he's going to be a full-time starter starting that. Like even at some point, I don't like bar an injury. I don't think he will.
I think he'd be more the goal line back if they get down the goal line.
And you want a goal line
Yeah.
back on a bad fucking offense? No, Marlon Mack. And then probably Rex because he'll be cheap, which means you don't want nobody. Nobody. Marlon
Yeah,
Mack
no,
if he goes
No,
double digit
you
rounds.
don't want Rex Burkhead.
Did I hit my word count on that one?
No,
I mean,
give me a few
I
more
see a
words.
three-way shot bet. It's gonna be the saddest shot bet. I get Rex, Hopper gets Mac, and Brian can
I'll
have
take Pierce.
Pierce.
All
Dan,
right.
Dan is out here going for Rex Burkhead 600 scrimmage yards.
Who's the RB4 there? That I guess will probably be the one that wins out anyways.
The RB4 is Derek and Bawale.
It's gonna be like Devonta Freeman
Oh, wait.
science
The,
mid-season.
the
there or some
RB5
shit.
is Royce Freeman.
What? Oh, that's right. He got moved there last year. Oh.
he still plays there? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kept him over David Johnson.
Oh. Watch David Johnson resign.
It's Marlon Mack.
Oh God, I can't wait to not revisit this next year when we all forget about it.
We're going to revisit this midseason.
Oh,
It's gonna,
we're
yeah.
not forgetting this.
Ah.
It's engraved now.
One of these guys, Max, probably gonna get cut, so I'll be out of it before it starts.
We're going to skip Hayden Hurst because I think we talked about him a week or two ago. We talked about Hayden Hurst a week or two ago.
Probably.
Paris Campbell has been featured extensively with the Colts' first team offense.
As he should.
As long as he can stay healthy, he's
Exactly.
another one of those guys that I think I want to take, a fourth wide receiver slot on and just throw it at him, especially if the price stays down and see what you're going to get. Because people like him to be explosive. They like him as a T.Y. Hilton replacement. Why not?
Someone's got to catch pass. Just sans Michael Pittman.
Yep.
It's Mo Alley
might be-
Cox,
It might be
Yeah.
Pierce.
Jelani.
It might be Cox.
Jelani Woods.
Probably gonna be Naeem Hines.
Oh yeah. Must have on your fantasy team.
Jelani Woods.
Naeem Hines.
No. No, Paris Campbell, he hasn't gotten a shot yet. He's been too hurt, quarterback carousel. There's big playability there. There's the ability to be a very solid wide receiver if he can stay healthy. So I think I buy this, that he is being featured, that he should be featured right now. And that there could be some volume there. Matt Ryan is not dead yet.
I mean, he's had He's had productive weeks when he's been healthy. He's doesn't have any double-digit target games, but he's got a 9 targets on 28 routes in week 1 in 2020. Like when the team's going to want to feature him in some sort of role, some sort of capacity, and I fully expect that to say. It depends. I mean, I'll be very much intrigued to see because I can see Pierce, fit more that role as they kind of move Pittman to more the X flanker, and Pierce is their through and through deep threat. And Campbell's probably their gadget guy, wide receiver, and bubble screens and shit like that. Put him in space and let him go to work.
Well, that's assuming that, it's also making the assumption that Pierce cracks the lineup to start the season and that they don't run with Pittman and Pascal on the outside. And well, that they don't.
I would hope that Pierce can beat out Pascal. I mean,
Pascal's not even there anymore. He's gone.
I think you're right.
He's in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is he?
Yeah, he went to the Eagles.
Hold on.
I mean, either way, it just the Colts have a very, very shallow wide receiver room. Not to say that, maybe Pierce doesn't crack the spot, which.
No, never mind. He should. Well, Ashton Doolin, Kiki QT. I mean, they've got
Doolin.
A lot of people and they re-signed Doolin too, so they like him. I mean, there's going to be a lot of competition for that 2-3 spot, I think, and Campbell has a leg up on it, even with just the offensive familiarity. That's the other thing with Pierce is you've got, rookie second-round pick. It's going to have to come in, learn the offense, and build. They're all going to have to build a rapport with Matt Ryan, but he doesn't have the offensive familiarity either that Ashton Doolin and Paris Campbell do. So,
I mean, yeah, we'll see. And again, who knows how valuable the number 2 is going to be in this offense? Like,
I would say relatively.
I mean,
it
may be all of them. Like,
it's flex value, basically. It
might be one of those where we're trying to throw a dart, and I don't know if I want to throw a dart in this Colts.
Actually,
I like this offense, but I'm not. I'm not going to be that invested outside of Pittman.
This won't matter in training camp when Campbell gets hurt again. Oh.
It'll be Ashton Doolin. It'll make me and Miguel very, very, very happy.
James White may begin the season on the PUP. He coming off a hip injury.
Just retire.
Pierre Strong looking like the best bet to fill that role if White does retire, can't play, or starts the season on the PUP. And really, that's an interesting one. Pierre Strong was very productive, small school guy, highly athletic. I think he does fit the James White role very, very well if he gets that opportunity. And more so than guys like, Kevin Harris or Ramondre Stevenson, I guess, was working on his pass catching. Or Damian Harris, but Pierre Strong is more natural in that role, so this one's going to be interesting to see.
He's got a good profile.
That's
comparable as Elijah Mitchell.
It's the New England backfield, so as long as his value, stays low, it's probably worth taking the throw on at one of your churn positions.
And Mac Jones isn't super mobile, and he will get the running back involved.
Yeah, he will, and they're gonna have to find ways to move the football. And if you got an explosive threat like that out of the backfield, then it's a pretty good way to do it. Commanders beat reports say Jahan Dotson looked electric in off-season practices. We talked about Dotson. He should easily be the 2 there for the Commanders.
He might be the one if
McLaurin doesn't work things out.
McLaurin gets traded or is still holding out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why he's holding out, though. It's like, come on, man. Just give it up. It's like you're not the best of the best wide receivers out there. So, like, what do you hold?
I'll never go against players in this choice, man. These guys have an extremely limited time to make the money.
Wide receivers are getting paid like a mofo, and he's produced for 4 years. Whether you believe that the trail off last season was things leveling out, and I kind of do, right? He's still got multiple years of productivity that says that he should be paid and should get a long-term deal.
Yeah, he should be paid, but it's like I just hate when they hold out. The longer they hold out, it's like the more they're going to not have that connection with their quarterback there. So it's like, you've only basically really produced wide receiver 2 numbers. So why should we?
I get it, but I mean, again, the guy should go out there and try to get his paper. Again, these guys, I mean, they already get used and abused as is. So.
Look who he produced wide receiver 2 numbers with, too.
Yeah.
Quarterback wise.
Either way, you want Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, you do.
Wentz is a hot, Wentz is a hot mess, but Dotson's gonna produce. I think. Like he's got the skill set that can easily see a early return on value. He may not reach high ceiling, but there's some floor to his game.
Another one of those late round guys. I think that if he doesn't come up too high, knowing that he's going to be the second receiver in an offense that doesn't throw a boatload, in a defense that, if healthy, has a really good pass rush.
Yeah,
I guess.
Matt Corral struggled before the snap in Panthers camp. Color me shocked.
I can't wait for them. I can't wait for the Darnold Matt Corral camp battle where nobody wins.
Where they trade for Baker Mayfield?
When Baker Mayfield wins.
They actually trade
or Jimmy G.
Actually trade Sam Darnold to go back up. Deshaun Watson.
Jacoby Brissett, yeah.
And the Falcons released Jeremy McNichols.
But his dead may never die.
Poor Dan.
I'm just happy he's still in the league. And God damn it, he's still in my heart and on my fantasy rosters.
Recently again, he's back on the again, right?
Sorry, I didn't think we needed any more time on Jeremy. This is just me thinking that I had this good list of discussion put together, and I'm like, wait, we're talking about 9 tight ends, Paris Campbell.
It's gone on too long. It's gone on way too long.
Yep, nope. Pair that. Be a little more selective next time, man. That's where I'm at with that. Should have been a little more selective. We learn. We're always learning and evolving.
That's oh my God.
We're always congratulations. That's an hour of things nobody wanted to hear about, other than Marlon Mack and
put in
Dameon
the
Pierce.
timestamp. All right, Ryan. Describe your founder S racist beer.
What do you call it?
Founder's beer. Totally.
Oh, Unravel IPA. It comes in at 6.6, 50 heavy. It's supposed to taste mostly like a juicy IPA, but I don't taste it like that. I taste more of like a West Coast / with a little bit of like earthy taste to it.
What's the can on date? What's the bottom of the can say, Ryan?
5/3/22.
It's not good when it's still it's a month and a half old. It's supposed to be juicy. It's not supposed to be a hazy though. It's just supposed to be a juicy IPA.
Yeah, but it kind of like has like hazy to it.
I wonder what fruit. I don't know I don't think they use any fruit in it, so I bet you they did dry hop a little bit.
Yeah, it is dry hop.
But it's not supposed to be a flat out hazy, so I understand why it's more balanced.
Dan, go ahead.
Oh yeah, my turn. Again, I'm drinking Evil Horse's Lug Wrench Lager. This is just like your classic American lager. It's a lot more bready, a lot more Captain Crunch style, more of a backbone to it, a little more of that malt to it. It still drinks extremely light. And it's something I was very happy that they were able to give me some cans when we left for a tasting. If you ever get a chance up in the Chicago area, or if you're downstate, because they do distribute downstate in Illinois, pick yourself up some Evil Horse. Very good beers.
All right, I'm drinking a chocolate peanut butter white stout from Duquois. I haven't had a lot from Duquois. Overall, it's what you body-wise, it's about what you'd expect from a white stout. It's full, it's creamy, it's still lighter than an actual stout, though. It doesn't drink heavy. Color-wise, they're absolutely right there. The coffee comes out underneath of it. It's pretty peanut butter heavy up front. A little bit of chocolate. It is sweet. It's like, I honestly prefer it to a lot of the regular chocolate peanut butter stouts I have because of the lighter malt bill. allows some of the adjuncts to show a little bit more, allows the peanut butter to pop a little bit more, allows the chocolate to pop a little bit more, allows the coffee to pop a little bit more. It actually makes it a really flavorful dessert beer. So overall, did a really good job with this white stout. Not an official style, but one of my favorite styles. And I think they nailed this, getting the body right while keeping it very drinkable and letting the adjuncts shine in it. Because what the white stouts are all about is adjuncts.
God, my beer review sucks.
Don't worry, Ryan. I would say it for a while.
We'll get there.
I mean, I had an excuse, though. We had the same beers on for 2 years.
And he always went last.
And I always went last because...
Yep. Good thinking. It's good.
What's your excuse, Ryan?
Going first.
You would have had the same thing regardless.
I would have. My excuse is I suck
I'm just
at
fucking
reviewing
with
beers.
you.
I'm like, they taste good. They're cold. Thank you.
They're cool. I mean, you threw some... It's earthy. It's balanced. You threw some key terms out there. It wasn't just, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know,
you
it's
hit
good.
the high notes. All right, let's talk Scott Fishbowl. So, Ryan, we're gonna feature you in this segment as a first timer. You didn't know we were, but you know,
de-virginize me here. Let's go.
well, I could just open it up to you as a first timer. What are some things you're thinking about? What questions do you have? But first, let me go ahead. I'll give you a chance to think about some of that and how you want to phrase some of that and give it a little overview for those that don't know. Scott Fish Bowl is a massive charity league ran by the name of Scott Fish, who is the nicest guy in the fantasy football industry. It has grown massively over the years. I think it was 1,200 teams when we first started. It is more than doubled now, as this year will be 2,400 to 3,000 teams. It is 200 to 250 leagues, all playing. They come together into one playoff round for one division championship. So it's all divided up into 12-team leagues. It is Superflex with a kicker, and 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, Superflex, kicker, tight end premium. So 11 total starters. There's 3 flex and a kicker on sleeper instead of floor flex. So a little different between the sleeper leagues and the MFL leagues. But anyway, that's new this year, as they are doing some leagues on sleeper. A little different roster structure.
All the live drafts will be on sleeper, and Scott is going to mirror them.
Yeah.
That's what he's working on.
So other things to note, there is no trading allowed. Everything is fab. There's no stat corrections, and they are doing a weekly game against the median this year, which is a newer trend in fantasy football, where you have 2 games a year. You have 2 games a week. Sorry, you have 1 game against your actual opponent, and then you have another game against the median score of the league. So that helps balance out. Like, if you get blown out by the team that scored the most points that week, but you still scored high, you're going to come out of that week 1-1. It doesn't quite hurt you as much as if, you got blown out and that median scoring just isn't there. It's a way for competitive balance and to take some of the randomness out of it. A lot of platforms have added support for that. I don't think any of us have implemented it yet. Some other things that are notable are the quarterback penalties in this are quite a bit. Looks like you tweaked those the scoring a little bit to where there's just a bonus for being over a certain completion percent and a negative if you're under it. But basically it's 0.5 point per completion, 1 point per incompletion. So 4 points per an interception. So there's a lot of quarterback differences there. There's also points per first down, and as I mentioned, tight end premiums. So little different scoring, little different format, and a massive tournament. So Ryan, now that I've been talking as a first timer, said you didn't have a lot of experience there. What are some things you're thinking about? What are some things on your mind that we as 4- and 5-year Scott Fishbowl players might be able to help you out with?
So the first thing I did, I was kind of researching it myself, trying to figure out, all right, it's 12 teams. Where's the optimal area to pick in, to kind of figure out how to fill that balanced team out. And everything I kept reading was between pick 4 and pick 6. So what I did is was in my group, I went in and picked the 5th position, kind of figure out where to go at. And then because I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, all right, with the points per completions and everything with quarterbacks, I'm going to want to go quarterback first, right? So that's why I kind of want to get the 5th pick so I can guarantee myself almost one of these top end quarterbacks.
Sure. So what we've seen in the past is that, first off, that's another thing that they do that not a lot of leagues do is a 3rd round reversal. So there is a 3rd round reversal in this one, which basically means that in the 3rd round, it's a snake draft, but in the 3rd round, things are going to flip over and then stay that way for the rest of the draft. So that's kind of where the pick in the middle comes from, is that you don't flip in the 3rd round. You stay exactly where you're at. Now, Dan and I both picked 3 last year, I think. And I think we both ended up in the playoffs. And
I made it to I think the first 2 weeks of the playoffs.
And if I remember right, did we both go tight end first round?
We both went Travis Kelce. We went. It was kind of similar. I think I punted wide receivers for probably too long.
A little longer than I did.
Yeah, I went. I had 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, and I think maybe a running back already drafted before I went. My first receiver, which happens to be Jamar Chase. So I mean, it worked out kind of there. But there's Ryan. I'll tell you this: there's so much strategy that goes on. And what Scott Fish, I'm not sure if Hopper mentioned this, but most people can pick their draft selection, which is also extremely unique because everyone tries to find that optimal value spot. And what we end up finding out is that luck of the draw. Like,
yeah,
you go where you think your first tier ends and maybe go there. There's also a lot of, there's over 2,400 people. There's going to be a lot of different strategies too.
And that was another reason why I went pick 5, because, like you guys said with the 3rd round reversal, I'm only really shifting one position over.
Yeah.
Going into the 3rd round. So I'm not losing that much value going from 5th to 7th.
Yeah.
You go to 8th? You should go from 5th to 8th.
Yeah, 5th to 8th. I'm sorry. Yep, 5th to 8th. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the mock we just did with FF Face Off on it, where I did pick 5 at right now.
Who'd you take at 5?
I took Patrick Mahomes at 5.
5?
Yeah.
Who was the first 4 that went? Do you have the mock up? I can probably pull it up too. But...
Yep, I'm looking at it right now. I have so Josh Allen went 1.
Okay.
Jonathan Taylor at 2. Herbert at 3. Kelce at 4.
Okay. See, so it is. Kelce will again be a popular top 5 pick.
Herbert going that high was a little surprising.
Funny enough, on KTC, which is more for Dynasty, Herbert has now surpassed Mahomes.
Huh.
That's QB2.
I have Herbert as my QB2 right now too, so I'm not gonna lie.
It's a little interesting. I will say that one of my strategies was to come out with 2 quarterbacks in the first 4 rounds. So that was, as I looked at it last year, and I think it'll be a lot of the same this year, that was kind of where I wanted to be. I wanted 2 quarterbacks and a tight end within the first 4 rounds because of that tight end premium.
All right, and that's exactly what I did, because in the 2nd round I came back and I took Aaron Rodgers based on the amount of interceptions he throws, because with the interceptions costing so much, and him not throwing as many, I kind of took that as a bonus because
it's fine.
That's what carried me last year was going Aaron Rodgers, but he still had Devontae then.
Yeah,
I
don't. Yeah.
So with the loss of Devontae, I took Aaron Jones in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
To pair him up with Rodgers.
Sure, and the thing with running backs is that the running backs can end up a little bit devalued in this format. It pushes them down because it's 6-point rushing touchdowns for every position, 6-point passing touchdowns for the quarterback position, and you do have 1 point for every 10 yards rushing, but and half point per first down, but you also have half point per first down, 1 point per 10 yards receiving on the receivers. So there's not really a lot of variance there. And then when you add the extra half point to tight ends on both, it really pulls everything kind of together.
So it does push running back values down a little bit from what we've seen. It's, the biggest difference is that quarterback values and tight end values get elevated a little bit, especially quarterback values. It's already super flex, and then you throw in all the heavy penalties, then it really elevates there. The other thing this format does is that because you get the rewards that you get for completion percentages, is it kind of devalues players like a Lamar Jackson that, isn't a high completion percentage passer.
Did you guys see Keith Cummings' tweet? He had a tweet where he said Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen almost had the same completion percentage.
Josh Allen, I mean, Lamar Jackson will again be, I think, will be a value. I mean, he's been 64 plus besides his first year, which is, whatever. I mean, last year was pretty rough for him, even before the injury. But where did Pitts go around?
And Lamar Jackson, though, Josh Allen going that high in that format, I think, was a little overvalued, by the way. Just throwing that out there. I don't think Josh Allen's the one in an SFP scoring format either.
Pitts went right after my pick at 2.9.
So that's where the big thing for me is where Pitts and Kelsey go. It's like, what's the biggest difference? Because what I found out in my draft last year is that I probably didn't need to go Kelsey, because you'll see guys get pushed. You'll see tight ends get pushed. There's also one thing to note that Hopper didn't mention. I don't believe it, because this is a massive tournament. Yes, you're playing against the same 11 teams for the first 11 weeks of the year, but you're also drafting to try to set yourself apart. Getting there is the most important thing, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But you will see strategy. You will see people going in a direction that makes no sense. We had a guy last year in my draft that didn't take a quarterback till round 6 or 7.
Yep.
He went 5 straight receivers.
In this mock, I didn't take a wide receiver till round 7.
That was me last year, too. And it's all about finding those what makes sense for you. For our listeners out there too, you're going to get a lot of Scott Fishbowl talk. You can get a lot of roster construction talk, especially if you're in it, and that's good information. You're going to hear a lot of different strategies, though. You're going to hear a lot of different, ways, and that's because you're trying to set yourself apart outside of the 11 teams you're going to be playing throughout that year. And that's you're going to get a lot of reaches. You're going to see a lot of different decisions made, but that's what makes this so much fun, because you can get 6, 7, 8 people in your league, all with different draft strategies, all thinking they have the best team as soon as they leave the draft.
Yeah, I tried doing the same thing, because I was trying to see, because I went within the first 5 rounds, I went with 2 tight ends just to see what it would look like and build from there. So I was able to get Darren Waller and then TJ Hawkinson to follow that up. That's a possible flex play.
Yeah. One of the things that you have to decide in this format too is, what do you do with kicker?
That was a hot topic last year.
It was a hot topic last year, and it is: do you roster a kicker? And if you roster a kicker, do you start a kicker? And because the kicker scoring in this is unique too, and it's actually something that I've adopted. It's 1 point per make, but then it's decimal scoring for field goal yardage. So if you draft Justin Tucker and he hits, 3 50-plus yard field goals in a game, you just got 18 points minimum just based on that alone out of your kicker. And is that better than the guy you're going to pick off waivers to start in your flex on a bye week? Or is that better than, if you get hit with injuries, some of these replacement level players you're going to pick up? And I think, arguably the answer is yes. Even if you hit 3 30-yard field goals in a game, you're at 12 points, not counting extra points, right? And that's very reasonable for a lot of kickers in the NFL to do. Elevate that high. And, you don't spend high draft capital on them, but the week-to-week, do you start or do you not? There's a lot of situations where the kicker is the more valuable player to start in Scott Fishbowl than the replacement guy or the bench guy or the guy that you're going to pick up off of waivers.
Did they replace the negative? Because that was where the big argument lied in. There was upside to kickers, but there was a massive negatives.
I don't see any negative there this year. Looking at the rules,
Ryan,
I think they changed the quarterback scoring a little bit too to take away some of the completion percentage stuff, make it a little bit more balanced.
If you guys have your MFL, Ryan, did you get your MFL invite yet?
I didn't.
No.
Okay, I would probably go back. I would go in and look. I haven't gotten obviously sleeper yet either, but so I'm wondering if they made some negatives for that because there was a big negative for missed field goals, regardless of how far the kick was. I think it was always -3. So there's always risk. There's always some risks to it.
Wow. Yeah, because there's a lot of invites that still haven't been sent out yet. There's like some areas that only have like
that means he probably
people in it.
Yeah, with them still figuring out
that
divisions,
updates
so
when you that page updates when you oh, you mean a lot of like invites to not the MFL invites, but the actual Scott Fish invites? Yes.
Yeah, the actual Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, because that page updates whenever you.
I just have to refresh it.
I'm looking at the rules from last year.
Yeah, if the league invites haven't been sent out yet, we won't know what the full scoring is going to look like. Like some of the smaller ones, I would be surprised if you took off the negatives, because then there's no risk to playing a kicker. If you don't get any negatives outside of them not kicking a field goal that game,
maybe we'll want more kickers.
Maybe that changes that'll change the conversation. Then you'll want a guy like Tucker who constantly kicks, I feel like 40 plus every game.
And he went in the 11th round in our mock draft that we did. He went at 11-1.
So that still feels early.
So it was, some of the quarterback penalties look like they've been pulled back because you were one. Yeah, because it was -2 per interception. So if you threw a pick six, you actually lost a full touchdown. It looks like you pulled that back. You also had penalties for sacks last year, and a penalty -1 point per incompletion, half point per. So the completion stuff is the same, but he took away some of the interception penalties, it looks like. For kicking, yeah, you had -3 for a missed field goal, -1 for a missed extra point. So either that's not on the site, or he pulled out some of the penalties.
I would be looking at that because that will
looks
that
like
will
he
change.
pulled out some of the penalties for quarterbacks too.
Yeah, so those are things. Obviously, a rule of thumb is to know your league settings. So
yeah,
when you get your league invites, for those of you that are in Scott Fish, obviously please check what the scoring is, what the rosters is. Just get yourself
or any league yourself for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, strategies are built around the scoring, which does change a bit. It's not been the same any year we've been in it. So you do have to pay attention to that. And it really looks like some of the penalties on quarterbacks coming back is going to bring the quarterback values back down to earth a bit as well. At least the high-end guys.
I'll be interested to go in and look once they're up there. I know, because he wants to mirror both scoring sets on both MFL and sleeper. Because you don't want it too much of a difference, but
then
I'll be
you
interested
might
to
have
see
to
what they are.
Pull some things out of MFL to make it line up with what sleeper's giving. So
he's already mentioned that. In some of his posts that he's going to be making some changes that he wasn't able to do on sleeper that he can do in MFL. So
yeah.
What are you guys picking at?
I'm picking at 7.
I don't know yet. Mine's live.
Oh, okay. So what's your strategy going into it, Hopper?
So picking at 7, it's going to be I'm still going to be looking to get quarterbacks probably within the first 4 to 5 rounds. Try to get in on a running back. Probably wait a little bit on wide receiver again. Do a little bit of what I did last year. I think the one thing that might change, being at the point that I'm at, is there may not be an opportunity for me to jump at like an elite tier tight end, depending on how this unfolds, especially in the if I wait till the second round to do that. So, I think my strategy is really a lot of the same to try to get out of the first 4 rounds with, 2 quarterbacks, an elite tier tight end, and a solid running back that I can trust. But picking a little later this year than I did last year, because I was picking at 3 last year, there's no guarantee that that's necessarily going to unfold that way. If it doesn't, the contingency plan is that, in this format, a guy like Kirk Cousins, who could be undervalued, that's traditionally had low interception numbers, high completion percentages, and is going to go to a more pass-happy offense, as a guy that, I might look at targeting a little bit later if there's something too good for me to pass up and I miss on a quarterback. So, my strategy going into these things is that I have an idea what I want to do, which is I want to get out of there with, 2 really good quarterbacks out of the first 4 rounds, with 2 really good quarterbacks, elite tight end, and a solid running back that I can rely on that's near bell cow. But the other thing is always, always, always have players you like as plan Bs and a plan B strategy. And target guys that might be undervalued that you might be okay with waiting on.
So when you say your plan B, all right, you're targeting this running back. What's your running back cutoff before you go to the next position? I'm trying to say that this more as a newbie who's trying to figure out fishbowl for that way.
Right.
A question can be answered.
Guys are gonna get pushed down. You're gonna
They
see
are.
you not Jonathan Taylor, and probably not McCaffrey. The shock is when they go. I'd say Taylor going 102 is something that I personally wouldn't do.
No.
I wouldn't go running back. I probably won't go running back in the first round.
I probably won't either. I'll probably go quarterback in the first round, given how that's going to unfold. And then, but depending on how the tight ends unfold, I may end up starting quarterback, tight end, and then we look. So the question becomes is, what am I hoping for running back wise if they go? In this format, it's not really any different than what I'm hoping for in redraft leagues. I mean, I'm okay with an Aaron Jones, a David Montgomery, a DeAndre Swift, and you get below that, then I might start to have some problems.
Yeah.
I mean,
but there's not
the premiums at other positions in this league lift them up, that it does drive running back value down, and you don't need that elite tier running back quite as much. So that's why I said, get me out of there with somebody solid, not elite. Somebody that's going to get carries, that's going to get work, but it doesn't have to be Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey or Austin Eckler, or any of those guys that are going up there. It can be Dave Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, that I end up with, and I'm still totally okay being there if I've got my 2 good quarterbacks and a really good tight end, and can go get a couple of wide receivers that are going to see volume.
I mean, Ryan, just look at the mock that you guys just did. Just look at Swift at the 102. He went 4 straight running backs. You had the realists going double tight end to start. You had 2 running backs. You had 3 running backs go, or 4 running backs go in the first 2 rounds. Something that's vastly unheard of outside of this league. You had 3 wide receivers go. Actually, Cup going first round is pretty daring too, but it's you want a quarterback. The importance of a quarterback is even held stronger in the Scott Fishbowl, just outside of the fact that it's being super flex, because there's such an important and because the differences between the top tier and the and those lower tiers, those drop offs are huge. Mm-hmm. And it's just trying to figure out those pocket points. You ask where those tier drops offs are. McCaffrey went at the 205. Mixon went 211. You had Barkley, Jones, Swift, Delvin Cook, 3rd round.
Yeah.
Why would anyone ever take Jonathan Taylor at the top of the first round when you can get better upside in McCaffrey in the 2nd round? You get a running back who could easily be the RB1 in the 3rd round in Delvin Cook. Derrick Henry went 305. In Swift 3, dual mocks are fun because you get to kind of see how people are going to do it. When you get into your drafts, though, I'm telling you, it just hits. The excitement's there. And the strategy that you think you have outside of the first few picks are going to go haywire.
Yeah.
Because you're going to think a guy that you think that you've seen in every fucking mock you've done make it to your spot in the third round, go in the second round. That, like, it's going to happen. Maybe not that specific example, but you're going to get stuff like that happening as early as the first few rounds. And then it'll really test how you pivot and all that stuff. And obviously, you know, as you know, you don't win Scott Fishbowl with the draft. So
Yeah.
Right.
But you basically, I mean, for me, looking at quarterback, when you say, you know, running back where the tier drop-offs are, for quarterback, looking at Scott Fishbowl's scoring, I really want two of the top 14 to feel good about it. 2 of the top 12 if I can to feel good about it.
I mean, just look at Anthony, Lamar Jackson, Brady. You get this chess guy, the Mimi, you know, Prescott and Stafford, always auction when Hurst and Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Herbert and Carr. You went Mahomes and Rodgers. Like, I may feel differently about Rodgers, but if you like him as a top 12,
a good way to do it.
that's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk.
Like,
And I'm looking at sacks because I'm also looking at, look, I am trying to beat 11 teams, and I'm also trying to win this thing. So I'm trying to figure out boom weeks.
And
Like,
that was
I don't care about week
back.
17 or I'm not trying to care about who's playing fucking who in week 16, 17 like these best ball nerds are. But it's all about trying to find the advantage and doing some of those stacks and finding the right teams to stack on. Just going back to Anthony, Brady, and Mike Evans. Like,
Yeah.
that's almost a dream stack. Because Evans is probably going to be a top 5 receiver in the first few weeks of the year, first 6, however long Godwin's out. He got Christian Kirk in the 10th round. I like his team.
the other thing is that with the points per first down for
Not two.
yeah, for wide receivers, that does lift some guys up. Like, you know, here's a third and Renfro, right? That's going to lift some guys up. That premium is going to help elevate some of these more reliable lower tier guys, which is why you can kind of wait a little bit on wide receiver, because there's going to be some guys that are tier 3, tier 4 guys in Scott Fishbowl that wouldn't be in normal leagues because of how some of those consistency things are rewarded. But, I mean, quarterback-wise, as I look at this, you know, I don't really want to end up with a low completion percentage guy like a Jalen Hurts. I get that the rushing floor is there. But I don't want to screw with that if I can help it. I don't want to end up with, you know, a first-time starter like Trey Lance. I don't want to, me personally, I don't want to end up with, Trevor Lawrence coming off of a bad rookie season, or Jameis Winston, or Zach Wilson, or, Justin Fields, Carson Wentz, some of those guys. I really want to end up with, like a Matt Stafford paired with a Herbert or an Allen, a Mahomes, a Burrow, something like that. Or an Aaron Rodgers if his value falls, or even Prescott, Wilson, even Kirk freaking Cousins in this type of format.
Ooh, Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
He'll be top 7.
He will
One
be.
of the best completion percentage quarterbacks, and he gets a more modern offense. That's a stack I really want to try to get. Is a Cousins
Jefferson.
I mean that's a dream. That's a true. I mean, both players went in the second round. Cousins was on the turn, but it's funny that you mentioned the quarterbacks you don't want. We got to go back. We got to highlight our buddy Tyler Posey, who we had on the show about a month or two ago. His 4 quarterbacks.
All guys I listed as not wanting.
Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Davis Mills, and Drew Lock.
Yeah, all guys I mentioned not wanting. That is not the way you do Scott Fishbowl.
You got it. I mean, you're
dead in the water if that's what you leave with.
It's tough because he's like he started off, with Kupp. He's got Najee and Eckler and Keenan Allen. He's got a good nucleus of guys, but your quarterbacks are what's going to tank you.
It's not a level of risk you can be comfortable with here.
Yeah, through and through, what's going to take you the most? It's going to be quarterback, especially at the top. If you have to rely on someone's relying on Zach Wilson Watson, Daniel Jones, Desmond Ridder, and Geno Smith. Like, I don't give a fuck what my team looks like. And he started off with Taylor, Mixon, Barkley, Javonte Williams. Like, fantastic running backs. Got Deontay Johnson.
That quarterback core is going to tank you.
But Wilson, Watson, Jones, Ridder, and Smith. Like, you could go fucking negative. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, these guys. I mean, Trevor Lawrence last year. All guys were notorious in going negative. They will fucking tank your team. So it's imperative, especially at the QB2 spot on your roster, they get someone like a Kirk Cousins.
So if you guys get to go 2 QBs right off the bat, first 2 rounds, do you guys grab a third QB later on in the draft or try to find out?
Oh yeah, you have to.
But I think the first 7, 8, 9 rounds.
That's where I'm okay with a guy like maybe a Justin Fields that I don't want it as a top 2, but that's where I'm okay with a guy like Fields that could improve and is going to have some rushing floor in case of injury and bye weeks and things like that. Like I ultimately want to leave with 4 quarterbacks, but I want 2 out of the top 12 and then give me another starter and then maybe a guy I believe in. But when I look later, that's when I want guys that have some rushing floor to carry them, or like a Derek Carr, a Jared Goff that just might not go negative because they're safe with the football.
Or a Lawrence, type of, like
upside
you're building
play.
off of you're building off of what you thought of him as a rookie prospect and buying into the narrative. I'm writing off his year 1 because it was one of the worst situations we've ever seen, for a rookie quarterback. But you don't want to buy him or get him as your QB2. That's so much. You're putting a lot of risk in your super flex position, but you want to have a quarterback there as much as it's humanly possible. Like that is the best upside position in all formats.
I do want to try to leave with 4 starters if I can, or if I can't leave with 4 starters, 3 starters, and a guy that might win a job down the line.
A Ridder, like somebody who could start.
Right.
Like, I mean, I have to play him, but I'm holding him away from because it's 24, 25 rounds. Like, it's a deep
you're
bench.
not going to go find quarterbacks on the waiver wire in this league, so you got to make sure you leave the draft with enough. You're not going to find a lot on the waiver wire in this league.
Yeah. You want to have I agree with Hopper. I generally I want to get my 3 quarterbacks by rounds 9, 10. 11, like in that, like I want my 3rd quarterback in the early middle rounds.
Okay.
But it all depends on how the draft falls too. Like you may see quarterbacks.
Yeah, you got to be fluid because the thing is, you could do a bajillion mock drafts and somebody's gonna in your league go against anything that you've seen, and we've done, 10, 12 mock drafts a year, and it doesn't matter how many you do, somebody's gonna go against any strategy that you've seen. And it's going to throw the whole draft on tilt. And your strategy is going to go out the window at some point, and that's why you got to be able to adapt on the fly and have ideas for, okay, if strategy A doesn't work, what's strategy B, what's strategy C, how do I pivot, how do I get myself on track and keep myself from going on tilt when 1 or 2 people ultimately go against anything that you were told was going to happen or anything that you thought you were going to see, and it will happen.
Okay. Yeah. So as we I don't want to keep dragging this Scott Fishbowl area on tonight, but as we carry on, the first strategy, like when you kick on your second strategy, what's your next kick to go to? Like, all right, I'm going to punt this position now since it's so dead. I'm going to go to this position instead.
Well, it's all about watching how they
go best available.
Yeah, it's all about watching the trends go. Like, you don't want to be the guy that ends the run on.
You want to start the run. You want to start the run. Don't get caught up being late on a run.
Yeah, and it's all about feel. Like once the mocks are over with and the real thing starts, like it's unlike any other draft that you do. It's because that excitement's there. You'll start to see it all on Twitter. You're going to see it in a fully different mold this year. We're going to have live drafts finish before 90% of the leagues even start.
Yeah, because everybody else started at the same time. You have no idea what other leagues did. Everybody starts at the same time, then you finish differently. But everyone started at the same time previously.
And that excitement's there, and you start to look at where, like, the real strategy was. Because I played in a lot of leagues. I was never in a fast drafting league. My first 2 years, I had the 5th slowest and the 2nd slowest.
You've always ended
But
up in
I
fast leagues.
I get the benefit of seeing how the ADPs are falling. I also get the benefit of different news coming out and shit like that, and that always seems to happen during the Scott Fish. You get like 1 or 2 major news things that
Because it is a slow draft that
Shift
happens
everything,
as
yeah.
training camp starts.
So it does affect. So I'm pretty sure the slew of Ravens injuries started, I think, at the end of Scott
Towards the
Fish.
end, yeah, it was middle
I
to
think
the
it
end of
was.
the Scott Fish Bowl draft, yeah. So, I mean, start the run is really good advice, and that will be what helps you stay on your strategy. Is be the guy that starts the run. Don't say like, okay, I wanted to go wide receiver here, but wide receivers really aren't dropping, and then maybe I can wait till my next pick. Because the second you think maybe I can wait till my next pick is when that run's going to happen, and you're going to get caught up on the wrong end of it.
Best way to combat it is just follow your tiers. Sometimes it's hard to create tiers. I don't like to do rankings. I prefer to make my loose tiers, and the best way to look at it is where are my true cutoffs? Where is sometimes every now and then you get to look at where is the position cutoff for me? Like, okay, I can't enter round 12 with only 1 or 2 quarterbacks. Like, I have to make something happen prior to it. So
Yeah.
Shift the way you draft. People are going to draft in weird spots. Maybe you're the guy that's drafting weird, and you're making other people nervous, and you can kind of control it that and that in its own way. But you're gonna have a lot of fun.
All else fails, draft Justin Tucker.
All else fails. Trade for Justin Tucker. You can't trade in this league.
I say that kind of in jest, but not really, because again, I mean,
there's no
that's a guy that
scoring,
can
draft
give
Justin
you
Tucker.
15 to 20 points in a week. Anyway, anything else? Go ahead.
I just left the kickers for the LA Rams. You have Matt Gay and Cameron Dicker.
Jeez. That's our show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check out all the FF Faceoff content at fffaceoff.com. Beerfield Podcast. I am at Beerfield Hop with 2 P's. Y'all can say your own social medias and call yourselves out because I'm tired of talking.
Beerfield Theory. That's me. Ryan. Make this less awkward.
All right, at Ryan _FFB.
FF Face Off. Beerfield Fantasy.
No chance.
Or Beerfield Podcast.
Yeah,
FFfaceoff.com.
whatever. All the same.
You can find everything.
Ready to talk? Let's make it like we can go touchdown.
I mean, you might as well talk over the outro. You've talked over every other draft.